I want to start. Actually, I was going to do this halfway through. Will, come on up. I want you to do it now. I want you to be our opener. So we have a men's huddle that gathers on Thursday nights, and we gathered this last Thursday night. And Will told a Jesus story to us that was just really beautiful. And I think it's the perfect kind of opener for what we're going to talk about from the scriptures. So buddy, stand on the white line and tell us the story of this week.
Okay, so this week started with both cars. Well, it's all during last week. It started with both cars breaking down, and we had to spend just over £400 getting the cars repaired, which is great because we didn't have that.
Awesome.
It's such a great start. So I was super spiritual, obviously, beginning of the week. And then on, trying to think what that was, Wednesday, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Would have been. So Wednesday morning, rushing around as usual, and I put the wash on, and then I come back in the kitchen, and there's smoke coming out the front of the washing machine.
Oh.
Brilliant! And me and this washing machine, we've been together a while now, and I've repaired that thing so many times. So I was like, right, I'm ripping it open again. And I take the front off, and it's just toasted inside. There's been a water leak, and the whole front is just a complete mess. I'm lucky it didn't catch fire completely. And I was just like, what the hell am I going to do? I can't go to Curry. It's like we've got no money. We didn't have any money to pay for the cars. We definitely haven't got any money for the washing machine. What the hell are we going to do? And obviously, piles of kids, kind of clothes everywhere. It really needs to be done. And God just said to me, don't worry. I've got this. And he put a picture of a house in my head down the road. And it's a house I'd walk past. I walk past it every day, walking the dog. And I'd walked past it a couple of days ago, and there'd been loads of kitchen bits on the driveway. They're obviously having a new kitchen fitted. And God said, go there. Go to that house. And I thought, yeah, why not? Okay. Put the dog in the lead. We walked down the road. And I got to the driveway, but all the kitchen stuff had gone. I was like, oh, okay. Maybe I got that wrong. And God's like, no. Get up the drive. And so I went and knocked on this stranger's house. And I was just like, as I'm doing it, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? And this old man opens the door, who I found that's called Ken. Lovely Ken. Thanks, Ken, if you're watching. And I said, I know this sounds weird, but my washing machine just blew up, and I saw you get rid of your kitchen. Do you perchance have a washing machine? And he goes, yeah. Yeah, I do, actually. And he opened up his garage door. He went, you'd be doing me a favour if you took it away. And he opened up the garage, and there's this practically new Samsung washing machine sitting there. And I went, how much do you want for it? He went, oh, just give me a tenner. And I was like, I can't believe it. Can't believe it, Ken. Grab the bag, got the washing machine.
Don't leave it. So when you say God said to you, how did that work? Like, how does that work? What did it, like, did you hear an audible voice? What was that?
It was more, I suppose it was more of it's like a feeling and a picture all at the same time. It was like seeing the house, like a really strong reminder. It wasn't just like it was like a really strong kind of picture in my head, and this feeling to go there. Like someone had said it, but it was like the emotion of someone saying it. It's hard to explain. And
you had asked him. You had kind of like gone, and
with a few expletives.
Yeah, exactly. Which he's used to. He can handle.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
No, it was head in hands. I think it was the nothing to lose side of it. I literally had nothing to lose. I don't know the guy. I was going to knock on someone's door.
That's awesome.
And if nothing else, I'm just a weird guy that walks past his house.
That's amazing, isn't it? Thank you, Will. Thank you, buddy. I just love it. I love it. If you've got a phone or an actual Bible, will you flip over to Luke chapter 15? We're going to be in verses 8 to 10 today, but we're going to quickly go back over verses 1 to 2 first, okay? You go to slide 2 for me. Oh, you're already there. You are on it. Great. So this, hopefully, we're just going to blast through this because this is some wonderful stuff. as some of you who was here last week? Raise your hand. Okay, those of you who were here last week, you'll know that we're looking at 3 parables that Jesus teaches in Luke 15. And they all are in a situation where Jesus was eating with the people who were inappropriate to eat with. The Pharisees are offended by this. He was with the criminals, the prostitutes, the scumbags, the people who don't belong in society. And so these religious leaders are offended that a holy man is having a meal with these people. Okay? Let's read verse 1 and then 2, and then we'll jump down to verse 8. Now all the tax collectors and the sinners. Now, the scriptures tell us we're all sinners, but within Israel at this time, the word sinners was a category of people that were disqualified from temple worship. They lived sinful lives such that it defined them in that culture. All right? They were coming near to him to listen to him. I love that. They were coming near. They were drawn by something in Jesus that made them feel like, unlike the religious leaders, they might be welcome. Both the Pharisees and the scribes began to grumble. That is often what associates living the Jesus life. People who live by legalistic moralism, it might be religious legalistic moralism, or it might be cultural, because there is a middle-class version of legalistic moralism. Okay, but legalistic moralists grumble when you welcome the people who their boundaries don't allow. Okay, this is a societal thing as well as a spiritual thing. Saying, this man receives sinners and eats with them. Now, I talked about this last week, but that word receives means he hosts them. It's a very specific word. To receive people was to say something significant. It was to say, this meal is for you. I welcome you at my table. So let's go back and look at these 3 truths. So next slide for me. These 3 truths that we learned last week about Jesus having a meal with these sinners. The first slide says this: to invite someone to a meal was an offer of peace, trust, brotherhood, and forgiveness. There was a bond. That word brotherhood, peace, trust, brotherhood, that is profoundly significant because he's knitting himself to somebody by having this meal with them. It's not just social interaction like it might be in our society. To eat a meal with someone had social significance ongoing. You are establishing a type of relationship with that person. Thus, Jesus' meals with the tax collectors and sinners are an expression of the mission and message of Jesus. This is the spirit of Christmas: seeking, coming after. You see, Christmas is about the pursuit of a loving God of those who couldn't find their way out of their lostness. And Jesus is doing that. He's blasting through numerous societal boundaries of polite society to do so. Second slide, next slide. A nobleman, or someone who qualifies, may feed any number of lesser needy persons. Just wow, right? A lesser needy persons as a sign of his or her generosity. But he does not eat with them. However, Jesus is said to receive sinners. You see, Jesus goes the next step. So these Pharisees and the scribes, yes, they would do charity. But Jesus is saying, no, I'm not just providing for you. I'm inviting you into my life. I'm opening the doors of my life with you. I'm knitting myself to you. Brotherhood. It's profound. It's just profound. I want you somehow to be able to get your imagination back 2,000 years to understand how scandalous this is. And these three parables are the best encapsulation of Christmas. Jesus, the glorified Son in heaven, comes down into the brokenness and the muck of this world and subjects himself to all of that. Why? To receive us. It's profound. It's profound. Next one. Slide 6. The guests at a dinner party are assumed to be bringing honor to the house in which they are entertained. So to receive sinners, quote unquote, is to assume that they are bringing honor. But of course they're not. But do you get the subversion here? Jesus is in the system going, and he's flipping it on its head. He's flipping it on its head. He's saying, I'm going to receive you as if you honor my home, or honor this home in which I'm having this meal. Yeah? But everyone knows they don't. What's that about? It's about who he sees them to be, not who they are. Isn't that beautiful? There's a lot. Fiona and I were praying earlier before everything began, and there was just the sense that there's a lot of shame that we carry. I mean, I could say that in any room in this society and it would be true. Really big insight, Jimbo. There's shame. But there is. In this room, there is shame. And shame is one of the defining characteristics that you think of when you think of yourself. You're not enough. You haven't done it right. You mess up too much. You don't qualify. And that's a lie. Jesus receives you. You honor my home, is one of his words to you this morning. I receive you, and you honor my home. Are you letting that go in? Close your eyes for a second. Close your eyes for a second. I don't want to skip over this. Preaching is such an ineffective art sometimes. So we just need to stop, and you need to say, thank you, Jesus, that you receive me as if I honor your home. Thank you. All right. Let's look at verses 8 to 10. How's that sound? Cool? Did any of you start to get a bit sleepy when you closed your eyes there? Do I need to wake you up? I can dance. You want me to dance? I'll do a dance, and then you'll be well awake. Okay, all right. If my top doesn't wake you up, I don't really know what hope there is for you. Okay? So, who thought Where's Wally when you saw me? Okay? Who thought Candy Cane? Okay, so Candy Cane wins this morning. Great, great, great. I'm glad I could amuse you. I thought of none of this when I bought this. Serves me right. Okay, verse 8. Or what woman... Okay, so he's just finished the first parable that we studied last week. It's up on YouTube, on the Canterbury Vineyard YouTube channel. Please check it out. I think you'll find it helpful. There's some really important truths in the first parable, the parable of the lost sheep. Okay? In particular, what Jesus is revealing about the 99. Okay? So there's one lost sheep, 99 that are left in the field. There are some insights that I want to invite you to go listen to that talk and make sure you get. This week, we're dealing with a different level of maths. Verse 8, or what woman, having 10 silver coins. Last week it was 100 sheep. This week it's 10 silver coins. If she loses one coin, does not light a lamp and sweep the house and seek diligently until she finds it. And when she has found it, she calls together her friends and neighbors, saying, "Rejoice with me, for I have found the coin that I had lost." Verse 10, "Just so, I tell you, there is joy before the angels of God over one sinner who repents." So, in this parable, the first thing I want to highlight is Jesus is giving a parable where a woman is central to it. Okay, I just want to highlight that for you for a second, because that wasn't done by the Pharisees. Okay, women just were not paid attention to in that culture. And Jesus, in that culture, is in a revolutionary kind of way, flying in the face of that and saying, you're just as much a part of this. And I think that's beautiful, all right? The second thing I want to highlight is that in verse 9, when she finds the coin, what does she do? What? Celebrates. Celebrates with friends, with the community. So there is communal joy that happens when this lost coin has been found. This is significant. Why? In every single one of these three parables, it's not just that the lost item has been found and the one who has lost it is excited, but the celebration involves a community. All three of these have that. The revolution of Jesus was always meant to happen amongst a family. It was always meant, not only are you found by God, but you are then placed in a community. There is no such thing as just watching church on YouTube or online on a Sunday morning and doing your own journey. That's not how it was intended. It was intended to be a community journey where you become known, uncomfortably known, and others likewise, and you do this life journey together, speaking affection and acceptance over one another's shame and disqualification. Yeah? Do I get an amen for that one? Flippin' heck. Now, in verse 8, I want to give you I want to just focus in a little bit and talk about kind of my third observation. I've got 5 observations, so I got 3 more, guys, all right? It's 11:51. We're doing great. Okay, so verse 8. In verse 8, Jesus says this, "Or what woman, having 10 silver coins, if she loses one coin, does not light a lamp and sweep the house and seek diligently until she finds it?" The first observation that I want to make in verse 8 is this. In this parable, the lost soul is represented as a lost coin. And we learn from it that God positively misses each lost soul and longs for its restoration. Now, the idea is this woman only has 10 coins to her name. Now, this would have been a drachma, right? Which is basically 1 day's wages. So, all she has to her name is 10 days' wages. So if you've only got 10 days' wages and you're trying to live on this, especially as a woman, we can assume maybe she was a widow because she's by herself, that to lose one of those 10 days' wages is an enormous loss. She's lost 10% of her savings just because it fell off the table and rolled into a corner somewhere. It's incredibly precious. The first observation I want to make, this is slide 8, next one please, is that this coin represents precious value. Precious value. Now, Jesus is giving these parables to the Pharisees and the scribes. So what he's saying is, you look down your nose at the tax collectors and sinners, but they're of precious value to me. Last week it was 1 of 100. This week the maths have collapsed and it's now 1 to 10. And that is a really big deal. Not only that, but he wants to see that one coin back in its proper place, i.e. in the possession of the woman, and utilized for its true value, a full drachma. Right now, it's lost, it's considered useless. And that's how the Pharisees look at the coins. They see them as the sinners, and the tax collectors, they see them as useless. But Jesus is like, no, I want you restored not only to your place, but to your value to me, which is precious, which is enormous. You've never looked in the eyes of somebody that wasn't precious to God. I don't care how big a jerk they are. You've never looked in the eyes of someone who isn't precious to God. In the holiday season, it gets stressful, doesn't it? It's just a bit of a hubbub. Like, you can't drive around Canterbury for about 4 weeks. You just can't, right? And if you just want to pop into town to get something, no chance. The grocery stores are heaving, and it's easy to get irritable. It's also easy to run into jerks who have been made irritable as well. And there's nothing that diffuses the jerkiness of another person than to look in their eyes and just in the quietness of your own mind go, boy, even this idiot is precious to God. It'll make you feel so much better. Try it this week. Someone's annoying you, just in the quietness of your mind. Don't get pompous. Don't get pompous, because they're thinking probably the same thing about you. But just let this help you. This person who's being such a jerk is precious to God. Wow. It enables a different perspective towards life. And he's trying to correct, he's trying to bring the Pharisees into an understanding of what this kingdom really looks and feels like. I want to draw you to something in verse 10. If you go back to the verse for me. I'm sorry, Anna, I'm bouncing you around a little bit. In verse 10, at the very end, it says this, just so I tell you, there is joy before the angels of God over one sinner who repents. Now, if you could go back to slide 9 for me. There's a play on the word one and joy. In the original language, now this, I don't speak Aramaic, okay? So this isn't me. I read it in one of my resources this week, so don't be too impressed. But one of the resources pointed out that Jesus was making a play on words. He would have been speaking Aramaic in this context. So when he was giving this parable, he would have been saying this with Aramaic words. And when he says one and joy, they would have immediately recognized that Jesus was making a play on words. Who has joy over just one? Oh, I do. Because one equals joy. You see how similar the words are. Had and hadwa. Okay? I think that's how you pronounce them. I don't have any idea. No, I didn't push the audio button. I probably should have. But you wouldn't know anyway. So no, that's actually definitely how it's pronounced. But you see, this is such a profound thing. Jesus is saying this one, this precious one, elicits joy. Sometimes frustration at the way things are going leads us to miss gratitude where we can find it. And Jesus is saying, everyone matters. Precious value. Even if one is saved, even if one who is lost is found, this is of amazing celebration in heaven. That was you. If you follow Jesus, at some point in time, heaven went berserk because you were found. Isn't that awesome? It went berserk. The angels went absolutely nuts. Backflips. You know what I mean? They're doing Michael Jackson moves. Right? They were all over it. And it was just because of you. It's just you. You. Okay. Next one. Verse 8. We're going to draw our second conclusion. This is my fourth observation from verse 8. Having 10 silver coins, she loses it, does not light a lamp and sweep the house, and seek diligently until she finds it. Three things there. Seek diligently until she finds it. So, she has to seek diligently because this coin is lost. It is hidden. So this is slide 10. Hidden. Hidden. We've got precious value now. Now I would just want to provoke you. This coin is hidden. It is still in the house. But Jesus is also saying that sometimes the lost ones are close to home. Jesus is speaking to the Pharisees because all of these tax collectors and sinners are Jews. And they're the teachers of Israel. They're the shepherds of Israel. They're in the house of Israel. And they're lost. And they've missed their precious value. They have lost the value. And so they have ceased to seek diligently until they are found. What are you saying, Jim? This is what I'm saying. Are there people in our spheres of relationship, okay, who are hidden because of societal barriers, because of social norms, who we walk right past, who are hidden to our sight, who are hidden to our value, who Jesus is seeking? Let me read this. This is from a commentator named Alexander Maclaren. He was an old bloke, 19th century. Let me read this. Now turn to the second parable. The coin was heavy, so it fell. It was round, so it rolled. It was dead, so it just lay there. And there are people who so entirely have they given up their wills, and so absolutely do they let themselves be determined by circumstances. It was not the drachma that lost itself, but it was the law of gravity that lost it, and it had no power to resist. There are masses of men and women who have no more power to resist the pressure of circumstances and temptation than the piece of silver had when it dropped from the woman's open palm and trundled away into some dark corner. The law of gravity operates in society just as much as it does in this parable. And life gets on top of people, and they end up in circumstances seeking to survive through means that they never, ever wanted for themselves. Ever. But they're there. And because of society, we have learned to value certain types of people who have risen above, who have accomplished. And yet Jesus looks at the people who were in the cracks of the floorboards or under the furniture of Israelite society, and he receives them. He's provoking us, my friends, to understand that some of the people Jesus wants to reach are within the scope of your daily life, but they're hidden. Precious value, but hidden. Who do you walk past and not notice? Is it possible that the organization of society leaves some people hidden? hidden under the furniture, covered in dust, beyond our natural observation. Not just the homeless. I know last week it was interesting to debrief with a few of you, and I think a lot of you went, oh, the lost sheep, that's homeless people. Okay, but there's actually, my mind went to refugees, actually, more than homeless. And there are so many people in our society, maybe they just can't get a job, and they're trying. Who have we become used to being excluded? Okay, I want you to think about this, okay? I'm trying to gather your collective minds now to think. In your world, who do you just not think about? Who are you used to excluding? Oh, yeah. No, I don't give them any mind. Now, you'd never admit this at a dinner party, but you can admit it in between your ears, okay? Who have you become accustomed to just not thinking about? Or who is over there? They're different. I don't have anything in common with them. So, the second group I thought of last week when we were talking about the lost sheep, first was refugees, and secondly, it was the Muslim community. There's a giant mosque up at the uni. They're over there. Interesting. Or in that community. Or perhaps, what was their name again? You ever do that? That person. What was their name again? There just wasn't quite enough attention given when you were introduced to remember the name. Now I realize some of you are like me. You have the memory of a goldfish. I get it. What I'm getting at is what caused you potentially, maybe it's you have a bad memory, or maybe you didn't tune in because there was something about that person that you've been trained very subtly by society to not release value towards them because they were different. Isn't that awkward? This is at work amongst us. It's at work amongst us because we're trained by the society we live in every single day. You're not only being discipled by Jesus, my friends, you're being discipled by this society. Lots of different disciplers in our lives. And we need to unpick some of the ones we don't want because we're being passively discipled in so many ways. And Jesus is unpicking the discipleship that the Pharisees have come under. And he's saying, there are people who matter to me who are hidden. Stop it. Because the final observation I have is this. Again, verse 8, slide 11. Next one, please. Mobilized seeking. Sweep the house and seek diligently until she finds it. Sweep the house and seek diligently until she finds it. Now, let me define those words for you. Seek means to seek in order to find. Not just looking. Okay, so who loses your mobile phone regularly? Okay, we got mobile phone losers. I never lose my mobile phone. Who loses their keys? Okay, a few more hands. My wife has the spiritual gift of key losing. Constant. Mobile phone no more, huh? It's the mobile phone that just like, and then you find it's like in the blankets in the bed, wrapped 3 times up, right? And you're walking around calling, trying to go, ding, 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 ding. I can't hear it. Why? Because it's run out of battery, because it's been sitting there for so long, right? Am I ringing any bells for somebody, right? To seek in order to find. You're not just going through the motions. Now, Jesus is using this parable to provoke the Pharisees into the lifestyle that he's modeling, receiving sinners, positioning his life. ordering his life so that those who are lost are welcomed and loved, and honor is spoken over them. Okay? So if we are followers of Jesus, we should understand that he's also inviting us into a similar lifestyle. He's not just saying what I'm doing is right. He's also saying, therefore you do it too. And he's saying live a lifestyle that is seeking with the intention to find. Problem is this: we seek the things that we think with our value system are worth finding. And he's saying, no, I want you to find the hidden things because they're of precious value to me. It's very rare that the popular boys and girls are ready to respond to the seeking of the Holy Spirit. It's where the brokenness lives. Seek diligently. And that the meaning of that word is carefully and feeling slightly anxious while you're doing it. Isn't that interesting? The word that's used by Luke here to describe what Jesus was saying is to seek diligently, which means to do so very carefully, but also with a little bit of anxious feeling about, I really have to find this. This is really precious. On my honeymoon, Corin and my honeymoon, so much went wrong. It's a long story. It was a disaster, really, which ended with me catching flu and us having to stop it halfway through and just fly home. But the second blow was, we were in Lake Louise in Alberta, Canada, and we were having a snowball fight with each other. Okay? Now, many of you will find this hard to recognize, but I was much thinner then. Okay? Much thinner. And as a result, while we were playing with the snow, you know what happens when your hands get cold, they get a little thinner, right? And I lost my wedding ring. Okay? I lost my wedding ring. And we spent hours searching for it in the snow. It's gone. You want to seek diligently? Like, even the hotel people were like, oh, what an idiot. Oh, we have to help this guy. He's on his honeymoon. He just lost his wedding ring. Oh, dear. So they're bringing buckets of hot water out and pouring it on the snow to try and reveal it, right? Because I didn't know when it fell off. It just slipped off. And at one point I was like, oh, Corin. And it was just devastating. My wife is so sentimental about these things. And it's like, you will never have on your hand the ring I put on your finger during our wedding ceremony. And I'm like, oh dear, I've really messed up here. And we spent hours looking for this ring. And I imagine somebody holidaying in Lake Louise had an extra little bonus some point later in life because we never found it. And I don't know where I lost it or anything like that. But you better believe that I was anxious while I was looking for that wedding band. Okay? So there is this lifestyle adjustment that Jesus models and is inviting us into. To seek diligently until we find it. To sweep the house until we find it. The center of this parable is the DEFCON 5, full on, all hands on deck search. This woman goes full bore into finding this coin. Mobilized seeking. Let me read this little quote to you. This is slide 12. I found this. This is some research, sociological research done by actually the grad school that I went to, the Talbot School of Theology. Research gathered from several sources concludes that growing churches average 9 ways to share the good news or gospel of salvation with people. 9 different ways that we get to tell people this amazing news that God loves them and is seeking diligently for them, that they have honor because he sees them that way. 9 different ways. Plateaued churches, or churches that are just kind of trundling along, not shrinking, not growing, average 7 ways, while declining churches average only 3. Further, the more times a person who is a non-believer is exposed to the good news of God's heart for them, or the gospel, the greater the chance they will come to faith in Christ. In most cases, it takes at least 6 hearings of this good news before a person will make a commitment to Christ. In contrast, people who make a decision for Christ after only, say, 2 hearings of the gospel usually drop out of a church within 6 months of attendance. The bottom line is that the more ways a local church has to engage non-believers with the gospel, the better. As a church, we simply need to ask the question, what does it mean to mobilize for the lost coins, for the hidden people of precious value in our world? Is this a value in our daily? I realize we live in a post-Christian society, and at face value, nobody's interested. And I'm not talking about inviting them to church, because I'm not your evangelist for you. You are. We have become accustomed to a kind of church. If you go to the next one for me, we have become to a kind of church where the church does programs and we're the inviters. And at those programs, people hear this gospel. All right? Jesus is not talking about that. I think that's actually, although it is practical, I think it's cynical. Because what we've done is we've said, no, not everyone's going to be trained to be a missionary. We're going to do the work for them because we all know no one's going to do it. And it works to a certain extent, but not like Jesus intends. Jesus wants everyone to understand that they're a missionary, mobilized to seek out the hidden ones of precious value. You go to the next one for me. I got really tired of drawing arrows, so I only did half of it. But that's how the church should look. However many of us there are, there you go. Wherever you are, there's hidden coins all around you, and they're of precious value. And he wants you to be mobilized to seek diligently until it's found. Now, 2 things to apply here. First of all, if you are here this morning and you do not know God, have never surrendered to the one who's been searching for you, I want you to know this. You are of infinite value to him, and he has been searching for you, sweeping the house diligently from the moment you were conceived. Okay? And the second truth is this. Follower of Jesus, go and do likewise. Whatever your job is, put a little dash at the end of it and add evangelist. You're a teacher, evangelist. You're an engineer, evangelist. You're a surveyor, evangelist. We all are. Jesus came to release an army of missionaries to find the hidden coins. Where are the hidden coins in your life that you've become accustomed to walking past and not noticing? This week, he's going to draw your attention to them. What does it mean to engage them? I don't know. But he cares about us. That's why I had Will share his story. You're of precious value. He cares about washing machines. Maybe someone's going to knock on your door this week and need something. Just close your eyes with me, okay? Close your eyes with me.